Good morning, everybody. This is an absolute honor to be here in Istanbul. I was last here 30 years ago as a student in 1987, so it's really the first time in 3 decades, and it's incredible to see how the city has changed. I'd like to first and foremost thank Gökmen and this incredible team for the Gastromasa team, including all of the staff, his partners, the sponsors, an incredible team of students, culinary students, gastronomy students who've been working tirelessly and showing us an incredible time. We've had, with a group of journalists and chefs, illustrious chefs from Europe and Brazil and around the world, and we've had an incredible 48-hour spill across Istanbul, eating 3 breakfasts, 3 lunches, and 3 dinners, literally 9 meals a day. So our stomachs are stretched, and we're very, very happy. I also didn't realize how everybody knows Turkey is famous for food, but how the culture of gastronomy is so rich and deep and woven into the daily fabric of the society is really pure, incredible. Like I said, 30 years since I've been here. I'm going to talk a little bit today as we're talking about storytelling. In terms of Asia, I'm based in Bangkok, in Thailand. I'm from the United States, originally from New York, but have spent the last 25 years living in Asia, the first 12 in Japan, and the last 13 in Thailand. So I've been out of the country for most of my adult life. And watching the scene, I work in publishing, initially for Lonely Planet, writing travel guidebooks in Japan and in Vietnam, in Southeast Asia, and now I have my own small publishing house, and we do food events. Also, as the introductor told us, one of the chair people for the 50 Best Restaurants, and I'd like to talk a little bit about Michelin and 50 Best and how the impact and the effect has been in our part of the world. I have 2 of my co-chairs here today, one Cemre, who's local from Istanbul, who looks after Turkey and several other countries in the region, and Crystal from China. And they sent them up to the hill tribes in the north, to the royal projects, and did an amazing piece up there, which is, in terms of storytelling, absolutely magical. So they went up, they stayed both in a princely palace and with a hill tribe family, and did a lot of cooking and different programs up in the north. We've had also a lot of intra-Asia guest chef projects. This is a recent magazine article on the fine dining visitation from around Asia and around the region. Hideaki Sato, who's based in Hong Kong, Japanese, these are chefs that have come to Bangkok in the last year or year and a half. We had Vladimir Mukhin from White Rabbit in Moscow, collaborating with Chef Fatih, who's our native-born son here, Mr. Kanizaka from Tokyo, from Shinji, Kirk Westaway, Umberto Bombana, and most recently, in fact, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, Ryan Clift from Tippling Club in Singapore. These kind of events would not be happening if we didn't have things like Michelin and 50 Best to be a catalyst for. Michelin, funny enough, after many years of keeping a low profile and very cloak and dagger and hiding behind the curtain, has now been really coming out and being more public with their events. The 50 Best has sort of been considered the Oscars of the food world. Now Michelin is also doing major events, big gala dinners and cooperations with chefs, so the landscape is definitely changing and definitely evolving. People are always asking about the trends in Thailand, and funny enough, the fine dining, like other parts of the world, is really, you're getting a feeling it's going out, and people are looking for something more of a casual but really good quality food experience, and also independent restaurants are tending to be doing a lot better nowadays than certain hotel restaurants. We've had a lot of superstar chefs come into Thailand to establish restaurants, including Joe Robuchon, Jean-Michel Lorraine from France, Henk Savelberg from Holland, all carrying multiple Michelin stars. And it's not as easy as people think. I know here you've had superstars opening and closing in China as well and other parts of the world, so it's not always so easy. We have, I believe, Alan Ducasse will be opening in Thailand. Jamie Oliver will open 2 restaurants coming soon in Bangkok, and it's still a question about whether or not those are going to sustain. The guest chef is a very, very popular thing. If if a famous chef comes in to cook at a hotel for a couple of dinners, people will flock out for it, but to set up shop is another story. What people, I guess as Bangkok tends to repel the ultra fine dining, it really loves independent concepts and places that are outside of hotels and shopping malls and office buildings. This is Isaya Siamese Club, which is in a 1920s colonial era mansion. Thai food again from Ian Kirichai. This is a new restaurant called Zuring, which are the Zuring brothers, Thomas and Matthias from Berlin, who took an enormous chance after many years of doing basically modern European, French-style cooking and decided to open up a modern German concept in Bangkok. And this is where Bangkok becomes very interesting as well, because as it's also going away from fine dining, it's also going away from classic French and sort of generic modern European, and much more interested in ethnic cuisines, specific cuisines like German. So keep an eye on these guys. This is the house on Saturn, and I have to call out a little bit for Chef Fatih, who's from Istanbul and has been in Thailand for several years. You're going to be hearing from Fatih more, I think, in the afternoon. But he basically took over this incredible old mansion that has been renovated. It was a princely palace going back 100 years. It was later the Russian embassy for many, many years. During the Cold War, when there was lots of interesting things going on in terms of James Bond-esque spy stuff. And now they basically renovated it thoroughly. It's called the House on Saturn. It's next to the W Hotel. And Chef Fatih is the chef for the whole complex, but most importantly for the dining room, where he's doing a modern take on Asian cuisine, basically modern Asian, but starting, as we're seeing, to slip in a little bit of Turkish influence. That's the dining room itself. And Chef Fatih at work with his customers. And just a couple of dishes. Again, I think he's going to tell you more in the afternoon, but this is the kind of plating and styling. Chutoro. And another beautiful dish. So Fatih, we're looking forward to hearing from you later on. I can't talk about 50 Best in Asia without talking about Dougon Anand, who is from India originally and came about 8 or 9 years ago to Thailand. Really green behind the ears, a very innocent and sort of not that worldly young fella who came into Thailand and to open up a restaurant called Red. He was brought over as the chef. He quickly got quite a following and eventually went to work for a hotel chain and eventually opened up his own, under his own name, Dougon. But he called me one day because he knew I was working for the 50 Best and said, Mason, when you're going to London next week for the 50 Best? And I said, yeah. He said, do you know Ferran Adria? And I said, no, I don't know Ferran Adria, nor Albert, his brother, who is here today. But I will be seeing him, and I've met him before, and he said, can you do me a very, very big favor? I would like to go to El Bulli to be a stagiaire. I would like to have an internship at El Bulli. And I was thinking to myself, at the time, I think it was like a 1.5 year waiting list to get a table at El Bulli. Basically impossible to get a table, but to call up and think that you could get an internship or a stagiaire opportunity would be virtually impossible. So instead of, and I didn't really have the wherewithal to call to the Adrias and ask for permission for my friend to go for a stage, I told Dougon maybe he should send an email himself to alert the people that he would like to come over, and at least when the rejection letter came, he would be having it directly and I would not have to deliver the bad news for the rejection. And he sent the email off, and a couple of days later he called me and he said, I got it, I'm going to Spain. I said, what? And yeah, he went off. It was supposed to be 3 weeks. I think he spent 6 weeks or nearly 2 months, and he came back like Frankenstein, sort of transformed. He knew what he was looking for, and he still, to this day, is emulating and so grateful to the Adria brothers for welcoming him to their laboratory. And anyway, this is Dougon in action. He's been #1 in Asia for the past 2 years, and he's had quite high rankings in the world as well, and has really transformed Indian cuisine, doing something not that nobody's done with technology, but that very few people have done with Indian for sure. Some of the dishes. So again, an ethnic concept. If he had tried to do modern European or French, I'm not sure it would have worked, but whether it's an India guy doing Indian food or another person of another nationality, people are definitely looking for these concepts. So, Gagan at number 1. I'm going to wrap up very shortly, but I just wanted to add a couple of other quick things. The camaraderie around 50 Best is amazing. It's the one time of year, and I think several of our colleagues in the front row can tell you this, that so many of the great chefs from around the world get together, and it's really just a time for bear hugs and woohoos and camaraderie and a chance to get together. So it's, as you can see from the picture here, just a chance for a true way to connect with fellow chefs. Sorry, this is a little bit slow. There we are. If I did not mention female chefs, Maria Cannibal, who was here for the first Gastromasa last year, would probably have me hung out to dry. The World's 50 Best has had Best Female Chef category for many years. Elena Arzak, our colleague, was honored with that a few years ago. And in Asia as well, we've had 4. So at the top of the screen is Bo from Bolan in Bangkok. Lan Shu Chen from Taiwan was the 2nd year for Best Female Chef. Oopsie. Vicky Lau from Hong Kong on the top was the 3rd year in 2015, and this year Margarita Flores from the Philippines got the Best Female Chef. This is a very controversial topic, and there are different schools of thought of whether we should identify women in their own category as if it's something, a different species than the human race. But there are other schools of thought that say that it is inspiring women and definitely giving us something to talk about, and mainly to inspire young women. I think if we have time, we could talk about this a little bit later. But yes, Maria, we have amazing female chefs in Asia, and these women are definitely inspiring the next generation. The last thing I wanted to say was a little bit about books. Books tend to be, I think, a good barometer of what is happening in the fine dining scene and the quality of books. Over the years in Thailand, I've seen these very old-fashioned kind of coffee table books about Thai food that are not so attractive. Recently, really good books coming out, sort of travel guidebooks and things on street food, etc. David Thompson, again, the Australian chef, broke ground with this incredibly thick and heavy tome on Thai street food, and really sort of changed the landscape in Asia for book publishing, and showed people that you can produce very, very high-quality books on Asian cuisine, and they can sell. Last year, the major award was won. This is Ian Kirichai's book from Isaiah. And the last one I wanted to show you will probably go down in history as the most unique name for a cookbook ever. And let me preface this by saying that in Thailand, all Thai people have nicknames, usually one-syllable nicknames, often fruit names. Ladies are called pear or apple, different animals as well, one of which is crab. Which is Pu in Thai. So you will meet lots of women and they'll tell you that their name is Pu, which is crab. Maybe it doesn't sound so nice in English, but in Thai it's quite a flattering name. So there is a woman who was running a restaurant and a famous cooking school, and her nickname is Pu. So when the publisher was looking for a clever name for her book, they decided to call it Cooking with Pu. And this is real, and again, on the storytelling factor, I just wanted to leave you with that. But I once again wanted to just thank the incredible organization from our friends at Gastromasa, and to everybody here in Istanbul. It's an honor to be here, and thank you very much for your time.